Hello and welcome to EV Loop, powered by Carloop. This is our second episode. I'm Adrian Maidment, but bringing you pretty much most of the information. Hello Riz Actor.
Hey Adrian, good to be on, second time.
Yes, we're back. Glowing reviews from the first episode.
Well, that's good. I think that's what we're here to do.
My mum liked it. So we've got a lot. We've probably got more to talk about this episode than we did last episode. We've got industry news focused in Australia, a bit of international news, events coming up, some local news on brands. We've got ZEEKR. Their website is up.
Oh, that's exciting. You know, it's a brand that I got a chance to spend a bit of time with in China, and looking at some of their products now with the website that's quietly been launched. We get to see two of their first models that they'll be bringing into the Australian market, which is the ZEEKR X, the electric compact SUV, and then there's the more luxurious 009, which is the people mover. So more options, which is good for the industry.
Any more stories from your ZEEKR trip in China?
Look, we got to test drive quite a few of these cars, and ZEEKR X is definitely one of those premium vehicles that we need in the market. It's a little bit bigger than the Volvo EX30, and the more options we have, the better it is, and the more confidence it gives the industry.
Yeah, and staying on Chinese brands, Geely there's a rumor that Geely's coming into Australia as well. That's Geely, the brand itself. It owns a number of brands such as Volvo, but this is actually the Geely brand.
Yeah, so Geely is the parent company of Volvo Cars, Lotus, ZEEKR, Lynk & Co, and multiple other brands. And there's some rumors floating around that they might be entering Australian and New Zealand market on their own with some of their own products, because in China Geely is a brand of its own with lots of electric and ICE options. So yeah, watch this space.
And finally, in sort of new cars, we've got the Cupra. Cupra's got a new model coming out
2 years after the first one. So Cupra, out of the Volkswagen Group in Australia, has had their Cupra Born electric hatchback since the end of 2022, and nearly 18 months later they are finally launching or announcing to launch their new electric SUV called the Tavascan. So that is expected to launch in Australia later this year, in line with a few other markets. So this time around we won't be hanging around for years for some of those products to be launched here locally.
Yeah, and I have read it's actually going to be coming into New Zealand as well, but probably start of next year. Cupra Born came into New Zealand first before Australia.
Just like most of the Volkswagen Group cars, we still haven't seen the ID4, ID5, ID3, all of those other ones. But once again, like the ZEEKR X, the more options we have, the likelihood is that, many more in the industry start to pay attention and hopefully think about making the switch to electric.
Chart of the week. This week we've got New South Wales EV uptake and growth.
Yeah, so New South Wales, the largest state in the country, it's also leading the charge when it comes to electric vehicles. We've seen over 50,000 pure battery electric passenger vehicles registered in the state, and that trend is increasing quite rapidly. A lot of it is to do with multiple factors, including things like charging infrastructure grants for industry, along with the fact that they're investing heavily into fleet programs, one of which was announced this week as well. So if you're a fleet operator in New South Wales, there's just been new incentives launched which you can apply for and hopefully get a chance to have some money put towards electrified fleets.
It's basically just going up, isn't it? Sort of continual growth.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That's what we'd like to see. Events coming up. Now, last week we mentioned your event, so we'll mention that again. And then there's a few other events coming up, but we'll start with the Carloop event.
Yeah, so we've got the EV Charging Summit happening in just over 10 days' time here in Melbourne, where we've got multiple different industries that are interested in installing EV charging infrastructure or just learning a little bit more about it, including the property sector, the retail sector, energy, automotive, and others. like I said, it's all about if you're thinking about getting electric vehicle charging infrastructure for yourself, for your customers or others, come to our event and learn more. We'll have industry experts sharing their insights and sort of what's ahead in this industry.
Who are a couple of the examples of guests or speakers you've got?
Yeah, so we have Emma Sutcliffe from EV Fire Safe. Fires and property are a big deal when it comes to EV charging. So she'll be there to answer attendees' questions and also share her thoughts, insights, and data on EV fires themselves in properties. We'll have Chris Cormack from JLL. They are large property groups, so sharing some of their experiences on rolling out EV charging infrastructure. So, yeah, they're just some of the special attendees that we have coming in, along with EV manufacturers. We're expecting to have Tesla, MG, and BYD there to answer some of the questions around what is it like owning these EVs in the industry.
Okay, some other events coming up. With Tesla, they have a recharge at the Ginger Factory. This is in Queensland, and it's in partnership with the Queensland government. Some new Tesla chargers. Very exciting.
Yeah, so Queensland government, like the New South Wales government, is investing in fast charging infrastructure, and this site that they're expecting to open at the Ginger Factory is on the Sunshine Coast, and along with that, they want to invite everyday Tesla owners and others that are interested in EV charging infrastructure to come and attend the opening of this fast charging site. Tesla doesn't do this very often, so this is quite a unique opportunity to go there, and I'm sure Tesla themselves will be there with their own new vehicles, as well as showing charging infrastructure that is co-funded by the Queensland government that's helping roll out charging infrastructure across that state as well, which is exciting.
Oh, the Melbourne EV event?
Yeah, so we have the Melbourne Electric SUV show not long after Carloop's EV Charging Summit. That will be held from 9th to 11th of August, which is going to be industry as well as EV makers that are showcasing some of their new cars. The word on the street is that we have XPeng, ZEEKR, and a couple of other newer brands that are going to be showcasing their cars there as well for the first time. On Friday, which is usually an industry day, there will be a lot of industry and fleet representation coming out to seeing what are some of the new trends in EVs in Australia. So check that one out.
There's also the All Energy event in October, 23rd to 24th.
Yeah, All Energy, that's also a fairly large energy event. EVs and EV charging has become a big part of it in recent years, where traditionally it's focused on solar and battery technologies. So that's always good to see. I'll be speaking there covering EV market growth trends. So yeah, if anyone's interested in checking out what's happening in the EVs and energy sector, check out All Energy in October.
Back to the actual EVs, have you been driving anything this week, Riz?
This week I haven't had a chance to drive anything else apart from my own Tesla, but I am excited that there is Mini Cupra electric that's launching shortly. I'll get a chance to test drive that in the coming weeks and share more of what that car is like. Last week, though, I got a chance to test drive the BYD Seal Performance, and we saw that last week. We also saw the first sighting of BYD Sea Lion, which is a Tesla Model Y competitor that is supposed to be priced under the Tesla Model Y, and it includes some new technology from BYD. And it's an upgrade from the BYD Seal that I got to drive last week. So that's coming on the road. More testing is being done. So we should potentially see that car launch before the end of this year in Australia and New Zealand. So many fleets are potentially looking at other EVs apart from a Tesla. This could be something to keep an eye out for, and obviously we'll bring them more news as it comes to hand.
Yeah, there seems to be quite a, I guess you'd say, especially comparing to New Zealand, there's a bit of a build-up of what's going on overall, isn't there? There's more industry events, there's new models coming in. So it's sort of, Australia seems to be on a bit of an upward curve of I guess, EV activity.
Yeah, the adoption is getting, it's getting clearer and clearer that every month we're getting nearly 10,000 electric cars joining the fleet. We recently surpassed over 200,000 electric cars on our roads. And with that in mind, naturally, the trend is towards more electrification, more chargers in the ground, making it easier for people, more choices of EVs. So all of that is quite exciting to see, and hopefully will help industry move forward, particularly fleets and some of the areas where, they do purchase a lot of cars and they turn them around relatively regularly, which means a lot of them will end up on the used EV market in a couple of years' time, making EVs even more affordable than they are today.
And I sort of wanted to talk about, while we're sort of on the big picture, the importance of that government involvement, such as with that Tesla charging event and the New South Wales event. New South Wales new funding really benefits the business, doesn't it? The industry, if it's the industry.
Yeah, so the government funding definitely sends a message out to private sector that it's time to invest, and this is an area that is important to government to make sure that we reduce emissions of road transport, including cars, trucks, and other vehicles. And the governments like New South Wales and Queensland are investing quite a bit into that infrastructure. Previously, South Australia and Western Australia has done the same. Tasmania's had their rollout. Victoria's done a bit. So we really need a concerted effort at a federal level to make this accelerate and happen even quicker. But as it stands, New South Wales leads the way. Queensland is not far behind when it comes to rolling out charging infrastructure, and it's encouraging more private investment into the state, which helps grow those EV uptake numbers that we touched on, such as those in New South Wales, where they've exceeded over 50,000 electric vehicles.
Oh, and just before we end, what's on the short-term horizon for Carloop?
Yeah, so apart from organising our EV charging summit, next week I'll be heading up to Sydney to have a couple of meetings with different parts of the industry. I think there's a lot going on, and part of what we're trying to do is collaboratively bring everyone on the journey. So, I'll be heading over to Sydney and then back in Melbourne, focusing on getting our EV charging summit all happening.
And we'll just end on the EV summit again. When is that? Just a final reminder.
Yeah, 7th of August here in Melbourne. So in a suburb called Mulgrave, which is southeast of Melbourne. We've got, like we said, industry, electric vehicle, car makers, as well as those that are there to talk about EV charging infrastructure, everyone involved in one room to learn more and share their expertise. So if you're thinking about potentially installing charging infrastructure in your sites, do come and check us out, 7th of August in Melbourne.
Okay, Riz, thanks very much. See you next week.
See you next time.